Hello. So I think this is bothering a lot of people, especially for INFPs. And what I'm talking about is making a career choice or just thinking about career development in our mid 20s or even late 20s as an INFP. And for me, my struggle right now is I think I just don't know what I want to do. I think this is a problem that a lot of people are facing right now because we live in a world where there are multiple kinds of careers that we can pursue. Back in the days when my mom and dad were growing up, they usually have this concept that whatever you study in university, you should go into that occupation. So, for example, if you study law, then you should become a lawyer. If you study engineering, then you should become an engineer. If you study architect, then you should become an architect. But I guess in this world in this world that we're living in right now, we see more and more people who study one thing, but then they end up being something other than what they're studying, especially when, social media is such a huge way to make money with people like Ali Abdal, vloggers, or even people like PewDiePie. They would use their interests to make money in social media. And in certain cases, they would actually make a lot more money than, working a very traditional full-time job. And I think this is why I start to realize that in order to make money, I didn't actually have to stay in my occupation or the thing that I was studying. I think this thought happened maybe a few years ago when I graduated from my undergrad studies in my architecture degree, and when I first came out to work in an architecture firm. I think the experience of working in an architecture firm as a full-time employee was that I find myself having very little time, because usually I would get off at around 8 o'clock, and after that I would have to go home and I would have to cook, I have to shower, and I would probably only have at most 2 hours of free time. Then I have to go back to sleep and then redo that whole day again the next day. And I think I find that very demoralizing, especially when I think that my whole life for the next 60 years or 50 years will be the same, without any taste, without much contentment, and at the same time being in an occupation that doesn't actually make a lot of money is even more discouraging. And I guess that thought caused me to think more about what jobs I actually want, because for my whole life I've been thinking that I should be picking my job by considering what my interests are and my passions are. And for me, I guess my passion and interests are things that are creative. I like to create, animations or graphics, or, anything that has to do with using my artistic abilities. But after venturing into that realm or industry for maybe 1 or 2 years, I find that art and design is actually a very labor intensive, and it doesn't actually make a lot of money, especially when the process is mostly dictated by your clients, because it's more or less a service industry kind of job. As an INFP, I think doing the MBTI personality test, they would always say, oh, INFPs would thrive in jobs that they don't need to take orders from people, that is creative, that has a sense of purpose. That's why, the suggested INFP career paths are usually artists, musicians, writers, etc. And I think that's true in a sense if we look at finding a job in the perspective that it should coincide with your interest and passion. But I think if we think about reality, a job is not always about your passion and creativity. A lot of the times, or the majority of the reason why people work is because they need money. And I mean, money is very important because you need to eat, you need to have a place to live. And I think people these days are not talking enough about how money is a very big factor in choosing work. And I guess in these few years, I come to the realization that I might be better off going into certain industries that would make more money than what creative industry might offer. Because one of the downsides of using your interests and passion and making that your career is that when the thing that you're depending on to get money and to survive is your interest and passion, then it actually puts a lot of pressure into your passion, and that in turn would make you not like your passion as much as before, and you might even hate it. And that's why I think if I get to work on something that would make me a lot of money, that would potentially give me financial freedom and time freedom and location freedom, then after I achieve, the money or the lifestyle that I want, then I can actually use that money to do what I actually want to do in the first place, which is art and design. And that in turn would not put too much pressure into our own hobbies, because you already have a stable income. No matter how boring or how unfulfilling or how non-purposeful that job is, I think if that earns me a decent amount of money and set me up for financial freedom in an earlier age, then it probably would be the most ideal scenario where I can freely work on my art and crafts and design in my own time. And yeah, that's what I'm looking into right now. Maybe it's working in the banking industry or the consulting industry, or I mean, whatever industry that would set you up for more money in the next 10 years and has a higher cap of what you can earn, then maybe I should pursue that. So yeah, I think all in all, sometimes when we are choosing careers, we can think more about the realistic sense instead of just sticking to what the society is telling us, or what certain MBTI personalities tests are telling us, because sometimes they might be thinking about it in a very ideal sense, and it sometimes ignores one of the most important thing about working, which is money. So yeah, to all you INFPs out there, don't be constrained by your interests. I mean, it's always very ideal if you can find your interest and also make a lot of money, but I guess sometimes that's not always the case. That's why for INFPs, if there's certain kind of passion that you really want to do without any kind of interference from other people, then, I mean, thinking about pursuing a career that makes a lot of money and then using other free times to do what you like to do might not be a bad option. So yeah, I would really like to know what you guys think about choosing a career, and how much weighting in terms of money do you consider when picking a career? And do you guys struggle with finding a job that absolutely satisfy your passion or creative satisfaction? I would like to know more about that. And as always, thanks for watching.